Because Ahura Mazda will know. Because you will know. Okay? So what your family says, what your community says, what your nation says does not matter. Only what you feel in your heart matters. Okay? And this introduced a new concept in human history called monotheism. And guess what, guys? Zoroastrianism will give birth to 3 new religions, okay? Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Okay? And this together is 2 to 3 billion people on earth. And that's why I say Zoroaster is the most important individual who's ever lived. Because he will create the structure for monotheism, okay? These 3 concepts that will give rise to 3 world religions. All right? Okay. So something else I want you to understand is that Zoroaster had a major impact on the Greeks, especially Greek philosophy. In fact, the Greeks didn't consider him just a poet. They considered him the first scientist, the first astronomer, the first philosopher, the first magician, okay? The Greeks had tremendous reverence for him. And Plato will take a lot of his ideas and create a very powerful metaphor that helps us understand Asha better, okay? He calls it the Allegory of the cave. So, imagine this. Imagine that we are in a cave, okay? We're all prisoners inside a cave. We are chained to the ground, okay? So we can't ever get up. We can't even move our necks. We only stare at the wall in front of us. Now behind us is a fire. And this fire is projecting shadows onto the wall, okay? And we give names to these shadows. And this is what we call reality, okay? But it's a shadow reality. It's all fake. It's all false. It's all what we imagine it to be. One day, for whatever reason, one of us, the chains disappear. And so we stumble upwards out of the cave, okay? And now we're suddenly in the light, right? We see the sun. The sun, of course, is Asha, truth, okay? Or Ahura Mazda. And we're blinded because our eyes are used to seeing in the dark, right? We can't see. We feel nothing but pain for a long, long time. But over time, we start to see more clearly, and we see the world is beautiful, okay? We see the birds flying in the sky. We see the trees around us. We see the animals, and we're like, this is beautiful, okay? I found heaven. I found the truth. I found Asha. I found Ahura Mazda. This is what life is really about, okay? But after some time, you're like, but this is not enough, okay? I have found the truth, but the truth is not complete because I know there are my friends, my family that are stuck inside the cave. Therefore, for me to fully achieve Asha, I must go down and tell them the truth. Tell them there is an Asha and we can all break free of our chains, escape into the light, and see the truth for ourselves. And then we will be truly happy and free and wise. Okay? That's what Asha is. Asha is not just breaking free your chains and seeing the truth for yourself, but it's a responsibility to go and spread this virtue to everyone around you. If you see injustice, speak out. Okay? Another way of saying this is, let's use a metaphor. A choir, okay? Singing choir. How does a choir work? Well, Ahura Mazda, the monad, he's singing a song. Ah! We have to sing along with him, okay? Ah! Okay? If we do that, the world is harmonized. The world is perfect. The world is beautiful. But if most of us are out of tune, then we need to get into tune, right? Okay? So that's what Asha is. Asha is not just self-individualization, self-truth. It is helping others see the truth for themselves, okay? So if you yourself see the truth, you now have responsibility to teach this truth to others. But the problem is, of course, if you go down and tell everyone, hey man, this world we're living in, it's a shadow world. It's a prison. We need to break our chains and escape into the real world. Everyone's like, you're crazy, man, right? Get out of here, man, you're crazy. And they're like, no, we have to go. And they're like, okay, well, describe this world to us. And you're like, it's kind of hard to describe. Well, you're crazy then, okay? All right, so that's Plato's Allegory of the Cave, all right? And this gives you a better understanding of the idea of Asha, okay? So if you move towards the truth, you're moving towards Asha. But if you're moving away from Asha, you're moving towards the Druj, okay? All right? So that's a basic premise of Zoroastrianism. This is the idea that Zarathustra brought to the world, and it will forever change the world, okay? We'll go into the specific history next week. But first, what I want to do this week is just go into his ideas, okay? All right. All right. So Zarathustra, we don't know when he lived, okay? But we estimate anywhere between the year 2000 BCE to about 1000 BCE. That's a Bronze Age, right? I suspect he lived towards the end of the Bronze Age. Why? Because when the Bronze Age is coming into form, people are in love with capitalism. People want to get rich, right? But after the system matures, there's slavery, there's debt, there's corruption, there's misery, there's suffering. And so people want to hear another voice. Zarathustra himself was a priest. And he was disgusted by the corruption of priests. Because remember, being a priest means being a teacher, leading people into the light, leading people into Asha. But once the Bronze Age becomes more mature, then priests are corrupt. They want a lot of money for helping you achieve immortality. They sort of spread false teachings. Okay, they become very corrupt. And so Zarathustra becomes disgusted, and he wanders around spreading his new message of Asha. Okay? Now, what's important to understand is that we don't know where Zarathustra worked specifically, but we suspect northern Iran, okay? Why is this important? Because during the Bronze Age, the main centers of wealth were Mesopotamia, Egypt, the Levant. So this is more like a colony where there's a lot of mining going on, okay? So what's going on here is basically the most human suffering in the world, okay? So imagine maybe Congo, where they're using child slaves to dig for rare earths, okay? It's a marginal empire where war is a very common thing. Violence is a very common thing. People are being kidnapped and forced to work in the mines in order to get tin for the Bronze Age economy, okay? All right, so as you can see, Zarathustra is about here, okay? Either northeast Iran or northwest Iran, okay? And as I mentioned, the global economy is around here, okay? This is where most of the wealth is. These people are poor, they're enslaved, and they're extremely violent, okay? All right, so Zarathustra comes, and he's a poet prophet, okay? He's a priest, and he's singing songs to help people better understand the world around them. He's trying to remind them of who they are really, okay? They really are parts of God. All right, so he says, listen with your own ears, with a bright mind, choose truth from false creed, each person for his own self before the final judgment comes, okay? So the idea of in the individual, what matters is yourself, what you do. What your family does, what your clan does, what your tribe does not matter. What you do, because when you die, you will face Ahura Mazda, the final judgment. Okay? Not your family, but you yourself. And so what you must do is choose Asha, the truth. Okay? What is the truth? Being virtuous. Because you yourself are virtue. Okay, he wrote in a language called Avestan, and it's a beautiful language. And if you are a Zoroastrian priest, you can memorize all this, okay? But I am not, and I don't want to butcher the language, okay? But it's poetry, it's beautiful, right? So Asha is the best of all that is good, and Asha is happiness. Happiness belongs to the one who follows the righteous path for the sake of the best righteousness. So how do you know you're doing Asha? Because you are happy, okay? Do you understand? So the metaphor is, imagine that you live in a world of like fat people who don't exercise and all they do is watch TV, right? But you decide to go and work out and become more thin. How do you know you're on the right path? Because you feel happier about yourself, okay? But the problem, of course, is that you lose all your friends. You lose all your family, okay? That's why people don't do this. Not because they don't know the truth, it's because they fear the truth. All right, so this is some translated poetry called the Gathas that we know that Zoroaster wrote, okay? Or he didn't write it, they were all illiterate at this point, but he sang it, okay? Now the two primal spirits who reveal themselves in vision as twins are the better and the bad in thought and word and action. And between these two, the wise ones choose all right, the foolish one not so, okay? So we in our nature always divide into two halves, okay? The good and the bad, the Asha and the Druj. And to be truly virtuous, it has to be good thoughts, good words, and good actions, okay? You have to be unified as a person. You can't speak the truth, but then do bad things, okay? You have to think good thoughts, speak good thoughts, and do good works. And that's what Zoroastrianism, okay? And when these twin spirits came together in the beginning, they created life and not life, and that at the last worst existence shall be to the followers of the lie, but the best existence to him that follows right. Of these two twin spirits, he that followed the lie choose doing the worst things, the holiest spirit choose right. He that clothes him with the massy heavens as a garment. So likewise, they that are fain to please Ahura Mazda by dutiful actions. Between these twin, the Davas, okay, those that lead you to the Druj also chose not aright, for infatuation came upon them as they took counsel together, so that they chose the worst thought. Then they rushed together to violence that they might enfeeble the world of man. So we're living in a world run by Davas, by demons, who choose violence to control us. Okay, and what do? And to him came dominion, and good mind and right and piety gave continual life to their bodies and indestructibility, so that by the retributions through metal he may gain the prize over the others. Even in a world of evil, you can choose, and you must choose, to be good. All right? If people are lying, you tell the truth. Because what matters is your individual action, not what others are doing. So when there cometh their punishment for their sins, then, O Master, at thy command shall good thought establish the dominion in the consummation for those who deliver the lie, O Ahura, into the hands of right. Okay? So God will know what good you did, what evil you did. Okay? When you die, it will be the final judgment. You will have to face God.